Joshua, she whispers, her tone dripping with a false sweetness, you're such a smart boy. Don't you want to make Auntie happy? It's our little secret no one has to know. Joshua shifts uncomfortably, his innocent face etched with confusion and unease. She inches closer, her words becoming bolder, her gaze fixed on him like a predator. Come on, she urges, her smile widening. Don't you trust Auntie?
Joshua loved playing football with his friends and reading storybooks. At just 10 years old and in primary school, he was full of energy and curiosity. But most days, Joshua came back from school to an empty house. His parents, Mr. and Mrs. Okoro, owned a big shop in the market and worked tirelessly to make a living. They wanted to provide Joshua with a good life, at long hours away from home. The school bus would drop Joshua at home by 2:30 p.m., leaving him alone until 7 p.m., when his mother returned from the market. I'm so bored being at home alone, Joshua complained to his parents one evening. We're sorry, Joshua. It's only for 4.5 hours, his mother replied gently. We have to work hard to pay for your school fees and other things. Joshua understood, but he sometimes wished his parents had more time for him. One day, Mrs. Okoro came up with an idea. Joshua, she said, Auntie Stella next door will look after you until we come home. Auntie Stella, their neighbor, was a young woman in her late 20s. She lived alone, always smiled, and seemed friendly. Joshua's parents trusted her. Okay, Mommy, Joshua agreed. He already knew Auntie Stella. She often gifted him small treats. And so, Joshua began staying at Auntie Stella's house after school. Her home was small but very neat. She welcomed him with a plate of food and a big smile. Joshua, come and eat. How was school today? She would ask. At first, Joshua felt shy, but Auntie Stella's kindness and funny stories made him feel comfortable. She even let him watch cartoons on her TV, and soon, Joshua started enjoying his time there. One day, Auntie Stella gave him a special gift, a brand new football. This is for you, Joshua, she said. You're like the little brother I never had. Thank you, Auntie, Joshua said, smiling. But then things began to change. One afternoon, after Joshua finished his homework, Auntie Stella sat close to him on the couch. Joshua, she said, let's play a special game. It's just for us. Don't tell anyone, okay? Joshua didn't understand, but since Auntie Stella was smiling, he thought it was harmless. However, the game she introduced was unlike anything Joshua had ever played. It made him feel confused and uncomfortable. I don't like this game, Joshua said softly. Don't worry. You'll love it very soon, Auntie Stella replied, giving him instructions that made him feel even more uneasy. Joshua didn't understand what was happening, but he knew it didn't feel right. He was scared to speak up. What if his parents didn't believe him? What if Auntie Stella got angry? Days turned into weeks, and Joshua began dreading his visits to Auntie Stella's house. The game she made him play left him feeling anxious and upset. He even started wetting the bed at night, something he hadn't done since he was much younger. Joshua wanted to tell his parents, but every time he tried, they seemed too busy or tired to listen. One evening, after another bedwetting incident, Joshua gathered the courage to approach his mother. Mommy, I need to tell you something. It's about Auntie Stella, he began softly. But his mother, busy unpacking groceries, sighed. Not now, Joshua. I've had a long day. Joshua's heart sank. Okay, Mommy, he mumbled, retreating to his room. At school, Joshua's teacher, Mrs. Musa, noticed his silence. He wasn't his usual lively self. One day, after class, she called him aside. Joshua, is everything all right? She asked kindly. Joshua hesitated, but eventually opened up. It's Auntie Stella, he whispered. She makes me feel uncomfortable. She does things I don't like, and it scares me. Mrs. Musa listened carefully and reassured him. You're very brave for telling me this. But we need to involve adults who can help keep you safe. She informed the school principal and counselor, who called Joshua's parents for a meeting. When Mr. and Mrs. Okoro learned what had been happening, they were horrified. We're so sorry, Joshua, his mother said tearfully. We should have listened when you tried to talk to us. They reported Auntie Stella to the police, who took immediate action. Joshua began seeing a counselor, and with time, he started to heal. His parents made changes to their schedule to ensure he was never left alone again. Months later, Joshua stood on the football field at school, laughing and playing with his friends. He had learned an important lesson. No matter how hard things seemed, there would always be someone ready to listen and help.